I want you to picture something for a second. It is a Tuesday morning, but you aren't, stuck in traffic on the 405 or squeezing onto the tube in London. You aren't staring at a spreadsheet.
I like where this is going already.
You're standing on a terrace, you've got a coffee in hand, or I don't know, maybe a fresh coconut if we're being really accurate.
Oh, yeah, that's better.
And you're just looking out over the Andaman Sea. The water's that impossible shade of turquoise, the air is warm, and you think to yourself, I could live here. I should live here.
It is the classic dream, the whole escape to paradise fantasy, and specifically the Phuket dream.
Exactly. And I think a lot of us have had that moment on vacation. You see the villas, you see the lifestyle, and you just think, why not? But then the vacation ends, you go home, and the reality kind of hits you. You realize you don't speak Thai, you have absolutely no idea how the legal system works, and you've heard just enough horror stories to scare you off completely.
That's the cold shower that wakes people up.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, buying property in a place like Phuket is not like buying a condo in Chicago.
Right.
It's a completely different ecosystem.
Right.
You're navigating foreign laws, totally different cultural norms,
Yeah.
and a market that can be, well, incredibly opaque if you don't know where to look.
It feels like trying to hike through a jungle without a map. You might find a waterfall, or you might step in quicksand. Which is why today we're doing a deep dive into the art of finding that guide. We're decoding how to choose a real estate agent in Phuket who can, bridge that gap.
And we are not just winging this. To help us out, we're unpacking a really comprehensive guide from Ocean Worldwide. And this isn't just some travel blog listicle. Ocean Worldwide is a serious player. They're a luxury real estate agency that's been based in Phuket since 2004.
Okay, that date stood out to me immediately. 2004. That's over 20 years.
In a market like Thailand, 20 years is a lifetime. I mean, think about it. They've seen the post-tsunami recovery, the 2008 financial crisis, the tourism booms, the pandemic, all of it. They haven't just read about the market, they've lived it.
Right. And leading the charge there is Sandra O'Neill, the director. The source material says she has helped thousands of families and investors over the years. So the insights we're looking at today they're not theoretical.
No, they're for 2 decades of actual deals. Which brings us to our mission for this deep dive. We want to distinguish between a good agent, someone who can just open a door, and a great agent.
Yeah.
Because in Phuket, that difference isn't just service, it's financial security.
We've got a roadmap for this. We're going to talk about the myth of the Phuket market, why integrity is actually a financial metric, the art of cultural negotiation, which is fascinating, and the hidden market that you and I just can't see on Google.
Let's jump in.
Okay, first up, the map. I think for a lot of outsiders, myself included, we tend to think of Phuket as just one big real estate blob. I want a house in Phuket.
And that's the first mistake pretty much everyone makes. The source material makes it very clear. Phuket isn't a monolith. It's a collection of very distinct micro-markets.
So it's not just like north versus south.
Oh, it's way more granular than that. Think of it like a major city. You wouldn't say buying a Tribeca is the same as the Upper East Side, right?
Yeah, of course not.
They have different vibes, different prices, different people. Phuket is the same. The guide uses a great comparison. Cherntale versus Rawai.
Okay, break that down for me. What's the difference?
So Cherntale, that whole Laguna area on the west coast, that is your upscale, manicured environment. You've got international golf courses, luxury resorts, wide roads, and a lot of expat families because the best international schools are right there.
Got it. Polished. The country club vibe.
Exactly. Then you drive an hour south to Rawai, and it's a completely different world. It's more laid back, a bit more bohemian. You've got the boating community, the fresh seafood markets, a mix of long-term expats and locals. The whole feel is totally distinct.
So if an agent just treats them as interchangeable beach towns, they aren't doing their job.
Not at all. A top-tier agent understands the why behind the prices in these specific pockets.
Yeah.
If prices are spiking somewhere, you need to know why. Is it just hype? Or, is there a new road plan that's going to cut commute times in half?
That seems crucial, knowing about the infrastructure before it's even built.
It is the difference between buying a vacation home and making a smart capital investment. Ocean Worldwide points out that you need an agent who can spot those trends. A new tunnel, a mall renovation, before they become public knowledge.
Or the opposite, right, knowing if something bad is on the horizon.
Precisely. Is a massive construction project about to start next door that will mean noise for 3 years. A good agent knows that. They hear the rumors before the heavy machinery shows up.
It's like the difference between just wandering around looking for a good restaurant and asking a local chef where they eat.
That is the perfect analogy. You are paying for their local intelligence.
Okay, moving on to something that sounds obvious but is actually really nuanced here. Integrity. Now, we all want an honest agent, but the guide highlights something interesting, what it calls the no factor.
This is one of my favorite points. In any commission-based sales, the incentive is to be a yes man.
Sure.
You want to close the deal, the buyer says, I like this house, and the agent says, great, let's sign.
Keep the momentum going. Don't introduce any doubt.
But Sandra O'Neill and the team at Ocean Worldwide, they really emphasize that a great agent tells you what you need to hear, not just what you want to hear. They have to be willing to kill a deal if it's bad for you.
That sounds noble, but does it actually happen?
It has to, if you want to last in that market. The guy gives a great example. Say you find a 3-bedroom garden home near Layan Beach. It looks perfect. Price is right. You're ready to go.
Okay, I'm sold. Where's the pen?
Well, a transaction-focused agent hands you the pen. But a client-centric agent, someone who's actually been listening, might say, hold on. You told me you hate driving, and your kids are going to the British International School.
Uh-oh.
Exactly. They'll point out, this home is beautiful, but do you realize that during rush hour, that school run is going to be 45 minutes each way? That's an hour and a half of your life every single day.
That completely changes the value proposition. It goes from dream home to daily nightmare.
Or maybe they point out something physical. This garden is lovely, but this area is low-lying. In the rainy season, the drainage here is a problem. Unless you want to own a pair of waders, we could look elsewhere.
That's huge, because as a foreign buyer, you're looking at the pretty stuff. You're not thinking about drainage tables in September.
And that's the point.
Yeah.
The agent's real job is to protect your long-term happiness, not just get a quick commission. And that transparency has to extend to everything. Fees, property history, everything.
Which actually leads us perfectly into the next segment, communication. But not just picking up the phone. We're talking about cultural fluency.
This is where things can really get lost in translation. And I don't just mean the language, though. That is a massive part of it. If you don't speak fluent Thai, your agent is your voice. It's that simple.
But you said it's more than just vocabulary.
It's about business customs. Thailand has a very specific business culture. The concept of face is incredibly important.
Face, as in saving face.
Yes. In a lot of Western cultures, negotiation can be, well, almost like a combat sport. It's direct, sometimes aggressive. You might say, this price is ridiculous. Look at these cracks in the wall. I'm offering 20% less.
Right. You go in hard to show you're serious. Standard stuff in New York or London.
If you do that in Thailand, you might just kill the deal on the spot. Not because the money is wrong, but because the approach was disrespectful. You caused the seller to lose face.
Wow. So a deal could fall apart just because of the tone?
Absolutely. A skilled agent acts as that cultural bridge. They filter your feedback. You tell the agent, I'm not paying for this broken air conditioner. The agent then turns to the seller and uses a softer, more culturally appropriate way to ask for a price adjustment. They keep it respectful.
That is a skill set you definitely can't get from Google Translate.
It really is an art form. And that goes hand in hand with just being responsive. The Phuket market moves fast. The source mentions looking for something like a 4-bedroom villa near Porto de Phuket, a prime area. Those places disappear.
So if your agent takes 3 days to reply to a message?
You've already lost the house.
Yeah.
Business there happens on WhatsApp and Line, and it happens fast. If an agent is slow to respond when you're trying to give them money, imagine how slow they'll be when you actually have a problem.
That's a great point. Okay, let's get to the part that scares me the most, the paperwork. The legal stuff.
The technical landscape. Yeah, this is where you really need a shield.
The source mentions a specific term. Shenote. Sounds important. What exactly is a shenote?
It is the gold standard. A shenote title. Technically, it's the Norsor for Jor is considered the most secure type of land title in Thailand. It grants full ownership rights and, crucially, the boundaries are GPS plotted by the land department.
GPS plotted, so there's no ambiguity about where your land ends and the neighbor's begins.
Exactly. There are other titles like a Norsor 3 Core, which are okay, but not as definitive. And then there are lesser titles that are basically just possession rights.
That sounds risky.
It is. You could face disputes later or find out you can't legally build what you wanted to build. You want an agent who can look at a stack of Thai documents and immediately say, yes, this is a shenote, or no, this one's a red flag.
So rule number 1, look for the shenote, but it's not just the title right. It's the money around the money.
The hidden costs. A good agent prepares you for that full financial picture. For example, transfer fees. The government charges a fee to transfer the property, usually around 2% of the appraised value.
Okay, 2%. Who pays that? Buyer or seller?
That's the 2% question. It's negotiable. Sometimes it's the buyer, sometimes the seller, often it's split 50-50. But you need to know that going in. A good agent negotiates that as part of the deal.
And then there's upkeep.
Sinking funds and maintenance fees. If you're buying in a managed estate, you'll have monthly fees. But you also have the sinking fund, which is this pot of money for major repairs down the line, like replacing the clubhouse roof.
It adds up fast if you're not expecting it.
It does, and taxes too. But, and this is a crucial boundary, a professional agent knows where their job ends.
What do you mean by that?
They aren't lawyers.
Mhm.
Our truly professional agent, like the ones at Ocean Worldwide, will lay out the landscape and spot the red flags, but they will always tell you to use independent legal counsel to finalize the deal.
Stay in your lane.
Exactly. If an agent says, oh, don't worry about a lawyer, we'll handle it, you should run. You need that independent verification.
That makes total sense. Connect you with the best, but don't pretend to be the best at everything.
Precisely.
All right, we've covered the technical stuff. Now I want to talk about the secret menu.
The hidden market.
The source talks about off-market opportunities. Now, come on. In the age of the internet, isn't everything on a website somewhere?
You would be surprised. In luxury markets like Phuket, a huge portion of the best inventory never hits a public website.
But why? If I'm selling a luxury villa, don't I want the whole world to see it?
Not always. Privacy is a massive factor. Some sellers are high profile and don't want their finances public, or maybe they just don't want a parade of random internet looky-loos walking through their home.
Okay, that makes sense. So how do you find these properties if they aren't online?
You can't. Not on your own. You access them through your agent's network. And this is where that longevity of an agency like Ocean Worldwide really, really matters. They've been there since 2004.
That's over 20 years of building relationships.
Exactly. Deep roots with developers, local business owners, previous clients. Sandra O'Neill and her team know about listings before they even launch. They get the call. Hey, Sandra, I'm thinking of selling my villa next month. If you're their client, you see it before anyone else does.
That's a massive advantage. You aren't competing with the entire internet.
You're getting the first look. And that network power also helps with negotiation. It's about more than just price. It's about terms. The agent acts as a buffer.
Keeping it civil.
Right. Buyer and seller can get emotional. The agent takes the emotion out of it. They find the win-win.
Can you give me an example of a win-win that isn't just about the price?
Sure. Maybe the seller won't budge on the price, but the agent knows the seller's moving back to Europe and doesn't want to ship all their furniture. So the agent negotiates to include the high-end furniture package in the sale.
Ah, clever.
The buyer gets a furnished home, the seller solves a logistics headache, and the deal closes. That's creative problem solving.
So bringing it all together, we are not just looking for a tour guide who drives us around.
No. You are looking for a professional who is a cultural translator, a market analyst, a legal scout, and a master negotiator all rolled into one.
It's a tall order, but it sounds like it's the difference between a nightmare and a dream come true.
It really is. And looking back at our source, it's clear why a firm like Ocean Worldwide has lasted so long. When you have a director like Sandra O'Neill, who has been at the helm since 2004, helping thousands of families, I mean, that institutional knowledge is just priceless.
Absolutely. It creates a safety net for the buyer.
In a market that can be so transient, where agencies open and close every year, that kind of stability is a huge stamp of quality.
So if you're listening and thinking about making that move or just investing, you should probably check them out. You can find them at oceanwwbuy.com. That's oceanww-p.com.
It is definitely worth doing the homework before you book a flight.
So here's the question we want to leave you with today. We often look at an agent's commission as a cost, just this annoying thing we have to pay. But maybe we should reframe that.
How so?
When you hire an expert in a foreign market, what are you actually paying for? Are you just paying for their time? Or are you paying them for the 10 years of mistakes they've already made and the thousands of bad deals they've already seen so that you don't have to?
That's the question.
Yeah.
And in high-stakes real estate, that experience is probably the best insurance policy you can buy.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll catch you on the next one.